Hi everyone, how are you? I'm Ed, the architect, and in this video I want to guide you step by step on how to renovate your apartment right after you buy it. You bought your apartment, received the keys, and now you're going to start renovating it. So, it's a step-by-step guide that I'm going to show you in this video. Really cool for those of you who are lost and don't know where to start, including during the inspection of your apartment, which is also very important. So, without further ado, I'm not even going to add the intro to this video. I want to get straight to this conversation, these tips that I always give my clients and of course you, my followers here on the channel. First of all, you bought your apartment, you got the notification by email or from the developer saying, look, your unit, your apartment is ready for the handover inspection, so we can hand over this property, this apartment to you. So what are you going to do? If you can, and obviously if you have the financial means to hire an architect or an engineer to go with you to this inspection, that would be great. Because the trained eye of the architect or the engineer can spot possible mistakes, possible poorly done work. In your apartment, they will request it, they will make the report there, give it to you, and you will request these corrections from the developer. If you don't have these means, that's okay. Try bringing a seasoned bricklayer or someone already in construction, you know? A guy who's already used to doing this kind of work, construction for example, because he'll also have that sharp eye. So if you don't have the money to hire an engineer or an architect, that's okay. Just hire an experienced bricklayer, a good guy, and it'll work out just the same. In this inspection, the important thing is for you or the person going with you to try to identify possible issues. I'll start from the floor to the ceiling, okay? Take notes. They are very good. Hollow sounding tiles. You're going to tap on the floor, and if you notice that the floor is hollow, make a little X there with a pencil and say, look, this floor here needs to be replaced. Grout. If you don't have the possibility or you don't want to change the floor, the bathroom tiles will remain as delivered by the builder, so check if the floor is hollow, if the tiles are hollow, if there's missing grout, and so on. If you're going to change it, you can skip this step. No problem, okay? This is one of the first things to check. The power obviously won't be on, so you'll only be able to know for sure if everything is working later. After you request to have your meter connected and everything, but the water is probably already working, it's probably already on in this unit. Most likely, okay? So let's assume it's already on at the time of the inspection. What are you going to do? I don't want to change the countertop, I don't want to change the stone surface that came with the unit. In the kitchen, pour a little water there and see if the stone isn't sloping the wrong way, right? If the countertop isn't level, water will pool on one side or the other. This is very important. Since the water will be on, do the same thing on the bathroom floor. If you're not going to change the tiles, check if there's a slope toward the drain, okay? Check if they're not clogged, which is also very common during renovations. Some people on the job, let's just say, aren't very professional. They usually leave dirt inside the drains, they don't clean them. So this also means you need to check, you need to make sure the drains aren't clogged. Because if you sign the inspection there like, okay, I'm receiving my property and you don't check this, then this problem is yours later. You no longer have the right because you signed the inspection, you know? So these are details you also need to check. If you're a demanding person and your apartment is high-end, bring a flashlight. Bring a lamp. I actually don't recommend just using your phone's light, but try to bring a flashlight or a lamp so you can check the walls and ceiling to see if there's a lot of waviness. There will always be a flaw here and there, but if something is really bad, it's good to mark it and say, look, I don't accept this. My apartment is high-end, my apartment was expensive, so I don't accept this kind of quality. Same thing goes for the subfloor, okay? Obviously, you're not going to bring a 3-meter straight edge, but at least bring a 2-meter one, put it on the floor and check whether the floor is level. So all of this is part of a good inspection that an engineer, an architect, or a builder, a foreman who's used to working with this will be able to identify for you. So it's worth it. It's an investment in hiring this professional that is really worth it when you're doing the inspection as you get the keys to your apartment. That's the first step. Second, I got the keys, I did the inspection, everything's fine here. What do I do now? Don't make the mistake of trying to do everything in your apartment without a plan. Oh no, I'm just going to change the tiles here, I'll choose this one, I'll put a wooden floor here, vinyl. I'll have custom furniture made here directly with my carpenter. Many times, that goes wrong. It's rare to find someone who did the whole apartment renovation without a design plan and it worked out. Oh man, I messed up on that detail. Oh man, I messed up on that one. So don't make the mistake of thinking that the design is an expense. Quite the opposite. The project is an investment you're going to make, and it's the first step before you start the renovation. Because in the project, you're going to define the flooring, paint, furniture, stone, lighting, everything. And then you'll basically have an almost final budget for everything you're going to do in your apartment. So it's very important to have a project. Only an architect can do the design, okay? I'll repeat that for you. A project is exclusive to an architect. There's no other professional who does this, who has this role, okay? No one does the design like an architect. The project is the architect's job, okay? So you'll need to hire an architect to do this project. Once the project is done, you'll send this project to the administration, the manager of your building, right? Of your condominium. Send the project for review to find out if everything you planned for your apartment is allowed to be done. But if you've already hired an architect, a company, an architecture office, you'll get the owner's manual and send it to them. And inside this manual, there will already be some restrictions on things you can't do in your apartment. I'll give you two classic examples. A niche in the bathroom. There are apartments where you can't have a niche, right? Some apartments don't allow it because it's a structural wall, okay? Removing some walls, there are apartments that don't allow it, okay? Relocating the gas line. Some apartments don't allow that either. So all of this is checked in the manual. If your architect designed everything based on your manual, when you send the project to the administration by email, it'll get approved right away. It'll be approved immediately because he followed the guidelines that are in the owner's manual, and in this case, you're the owner. Third step, once that's done and the project is approved, it's time to issue the documentation. Both the condominium and building management will require it from you. RRT issued by an architect or ART issued by an engineer. And as I said, the project is exclusive to the architect. Now, as for the execution, the supervision, the responsibility for carrying out this work, it can be the architects, it can be the engineers, there's no problem with that. If you've worked with an architect, you'll likely hire them to handle the work too. If you want, I have a trusted engineer friend and can go with them. Both are qualified to issue the document the condominium requires. So, it's a step-by-step process here from the very start of your project, from the inspection all the way to the actual beginning of your construction. And it's important to point out that the construction schedule is very important for you to know at which stage the cabinetry will be installed and at which stage the curtain installation will happen. The air conditioning units, and by units I mean the ones you'll see blowing cool air into the room. All the infrastructure comes first, before the ceiling, before everything. So, it's important for you to know the schedule so you understand each stage of the project so you can have the exact investment deadlines. Look, it's at the purchasing stage. It's at the stage of buying the air conditioning equipment, the lighting materials, and the flooring and finishes. All of this depends on the project. All of this depends on a schedule that the architect you hired, the engineer, will present to you to manage your project. But generally, I'll give you a step-by-step guide here, really easy for you to understand. We obviously start with what? Demolitions, if removals are allowed. In this apartment, it's common for us to remove the walls, flooring, and coverings delivered by the construction company and put in what we want. So, we're going to start with the demolition, removing the flooring and wall coverings that we don't want in our project. First step. Second, installation of the electrical infrastructure. When I talk about installing the electrical infrastructure, I'm talking about new light fixture locations, new power outlets to meet your project's needs. Because usually you won't use the central ceiling light that's already in your living room. You'll install a drywall ceiling, a plaster drop ceiling, and from there you'll add new lighting points. So all of this is done after demolition. Once demolition is done and everything that needed to be removed is out, you move on to the infrastructure for air conditioning, electrical, plumbing, and gas. Okay? All of that is done right after. These professionals need to come in to take care of these next steps. What comes next? What's really cool about what I do here at ArcSet is that to speed up the process, I didn't change the plumbing points in my bathroom. So, if I've already done the demolition, along with this stage of electrical infrastructure, air conditioning, plumbing, and gas, I already start installing the porcelain tiles in my bathrooms. I'm already able to work simultaneously on plumbing, electrical, gas, and so on, along with installing flooring and wall finishes, at least in one of the bathrooms. So you can speed up your project, okay? Once the electrical infrastructure, plumbing, and everything else is done, install the drywall ceiling. Don't put down the flooring in the living room or bedrooms yet. Start by installing it in the bathroom first. Don't install the flooring in those rooms yet, okay? Go ahead and do the ceiling first. Why do the ceiling first? Because it's going to get a little dirty, you'll use scaffolding, people will step on it, there will be materials on top and everything. Don't install the flooring yet. You can only install the flooring. Look, now it's time to start installing flooring and wall finishes. After the ceiling is finished, after the demolition is done, after all the infrastructure is done, like I just said, electrical, plumbing, gas, all of that. Once everything is done, all that heavy mess is over, then you can install the flooring. Once the ceiling is finished, you can go ahead and lay the flooring. At the same time, simultaneously with that, here in my projects, I also start the ceiling painting process. And also marking the lighting points. Like I told you, you won't just use the central lighting point that already exists in your property. You'll add spotlights, LED strips, linear lighting profiles, and so on. Start the first phase of painting and begin marking the lighting points. You can also start installing the spotlights at this stage. Your space, the property won't be dark. The apartment won't be dark. The house won't be dark. I put in the drop ceiling. I'll just leave a single point there. Go ahead and put in the lighting points and at least install the spotlights. Because that's also a stage where you need to decide with your architect about buying those materials. Okay? Just reminding you, usually when we're going to install drywall ceilings, air conditioning infrastructure, which is very common. That type of air conditioner that goes on the ceiling, not on the wall. This infrastructure is installed inside the ceiling. And it goes from the unit that's over there. The indoor unit, as we call it, connects to the outdoor unit, usually located outside on the balcony in the service area. So that also needs to be done. Usually this cassette has to go through my ceiling, and there's something important you need to know. Decide that in advance when setting up the infrastructure, okay? There are mid to high-end apartments that already have specific drain points for the air conditioner, and they also leave a hole between the beams there, in the actual beams, so that this piping can be run through those points. So you have to plan for the piping to pass through. If there isn't, see how it's done. See how it can be done. Because you can't drill through a beam. You can't just grab a hole saw there. Oh, I'm used to doing it. Don't make that mistake of grabbing a 10 or 14 hole saw and drilling through the beam to run the air conditioning piping. Don't make that mistake. Okay? Structural elements of a building, for example. Don't even think about it. Don't even dream of doing that. Don't do it in a house either. Don't damage your structure just to run an air conditioning pipe. So you need to have that decided beforehand too. So you don't run the risk of damaging your structure. Okay? It's very important for you to know this information as well. So here we have a step-by-step guide, kind of up to halfway through the project there, so that you have good progress in your renovation. And what I also like to do is, I just told you, don't lay the floor yet. But after you install the drywall ceiling, do a simulation. Call the installer there, the floor and tile setter. Place a piece on the floor. Simulate the height of the mortar there. Call the cabinetry shop to take the measurements right away. Because if you wait for all the floor and tile installation, drywall ceilings, if you wait to call the cabinetry shop to measure, they'll still ask for 45 days to start assembling, so they can manufacture everything. So, before you can authorize the final measurement, okay, for the carpentry, for the marble work too, do it, do everything, have a schedule, so that this is done right at the beginning. I finished demolition, infrastructure, I removed the bathroom tiles, I removed the ceiling, put a stone there on the floor already, simulate the final height it will be, and already call the cabinetry shop to take the final measurements so your project doesn't get stuck, so your project doesn't take longer than necessary. That's how I do it in mine. It works both for cabinetry and for stonework, for both, which are the ones with the longest deadlines. For installation, From the moment they take the final measurements of these areas, like the kitchen, the bedroom, and so on, they will take the fine measurement. From there, they will tell you from now on, it's 45 days until I start assembling your project here, okay? So this process also needs to be moved forward as quickly as possible so that this part can be cleared as well. And one interesting thing, and that creates a lot of doubt and even discussion when it's time to finish the painting of your property. Let's use an example here of a typical apartment. You hired a painter. He goes there, he does all his painting work and so on, and he hands over the job to you. Look, it's done. Okay. All good here. Okay. Let's settle the finishing here now. All right, common, normal. But then the cabinetry comes in. The final details come in. Installation of glass, of mirrors, of curtains, of air conditioning. Anyway, that final phase begins. You'll need to do some touch-ups. You'll need to give it the last coat, which we call the final paint job, and then that's how it was agreed, in the painting budget. Or you'll have to hire the painter again to do a new paint job in your house. Imagine that. A new apartment, you'll have to paint it twice. No. In my projects, what I do, I'm using a practical example here, something I do in my projects. Maybe it can serve as an example for you. Prepare everything for painting. We apply wall filler where needed and paint where necessary. Everything. Prepare everything. Paint, 2 coats. On everything. Wall and ceiling. Leave it all ready with 2 coats. Apparently, you'll look at it and think, no, it's already done, but it's not. Okay, I left everything ready with 2 coats. Cockatiel gray on the walls, white on the ceiling, 2 coats on everything. Once that's done, then the cabinetry goes in, the stonework goes in, the curtains come in, all of that comes in, all the finishing touches come in, everyone leaves. Then I get my painter, my painting team, I go there and I do the final touch-up on everything. So that when I deliver this project, there isn't even a fingerprint on the wall. It's 100% flawless, including the cleaning, after the painting is done. Then my cleaning crew comes in, and I deliver the project to my client. That's the procedure I follow. Now there will be many painters who won't want to do it this way. Look, I'll hand the job over to you at this stage. You can also hire me at the end to finish up. It's your choice. It depends on your project's management, whether it's the architect, engineer, or whoever you hired. Coordination with the painter is key, whether he will accept it or not. In my case, this is how I do it. 2 coats of everything first. I leave everything prepared, and I leave the final touch for the end. That's how I do it. All right? So that's a very important tip as well. And one last tip if you're in the middle of a renovation. Curtains. Pay close attention. Installing curtains in your apartment should be one of the very last things you do. I'd even say after the final coat of paint. Because the curtain can't get dusty anymore. There are many curtains made of linen. So any dust, any little mess you make, even just sweeping up some dust on the floor, it's going to stick to my curtain. It's important for you to know there are some elements in the construction too, in the renovation. Do that in the final stage so you don't dirty the installed product, otherwise you'll pay for cleaning again. Of course, there will be a detailed cleaning, a post-construction cleaning, as we usually say in the construction field. A post-construction cleaning, but if you can avoid it, that's good. Leave this type of product installation for the final stage, or even when you're already living there. For example, there are projects I work on that are like this. The client is already living there. Then we go in and install the curtains, exactly to avoid getting that material dirty once it's installed. All right? So this is a step-by-step guide. It's just to give you some clarity if you're about to start building or renovating your house. This video is specifically more relevant to apartments. But it's just to give you some guidance. I know that in practice it can be quite different. Or not. It could be exactly like I told you. The example I gave you here is from my projects. It's how I do it in my projects, okay? So my projects usually take about 4, at most 5 months with the design, 1 month for the design, 4 for the construction. That's usually how I do it. So here at Arc 7 Decorações, we do at most 3 projects per year, okay? Because usually it's 3, 4, 5 months of work for each project we do here at Arc 7 Decorações. So if this content helped open your mind to help you understand a little better how the renovation process works, leave a comment if you have any questions. Like this video, leave your like, subscribe to the channel. I want to see us grow a lot here through these tips that I'm bringing to you from my daily routine, the ones I use in my projects. I'm bringing them for you. Take care and see you in the next video.